As you guys have just been spent some time talking in your groups about your own personal growth story, what we're going to look at today is a consistent process for personal growth. And the diagram that you're looking at is actually a process, a diagram of how people grow. And so you look at the diagram and you can see that the very first star over on the top left is the light bulb moment. And that's the moment when you realized that you had an issue or a problem or a challenge that you had to grow through. And that's where the growth starts, is with that light bulb moment, the realization that, okay, now I've got to change. And then we come over and we've got, okay, from there you come over to the right, you say, okay, who do I want to be? Then you come down and say, who am I now? And those all look at and talk about current reality. Who am I and what do I want to be? And then you look at, okay, what are the strengths and gaps? So what are the things that I bring to the table, and what are the gaps? When I look at who I want to be, what are the gaps that are preventing me from being that? And then you come across the bottom and you look at, okay, now what are my options for growth? And consider those and look at all the different options that you have to grow and become who you want to be. And then you decide what action I'm going to take. And then that process then might start all over again as you reach a plateau. Then you might want to grow again. So that's just a process. You notice that as you move across that process and as you think about your own personal growth story and what you just shared at your table, and you think about that, it probably, if you just think about this process related to your own personal growth, you probably will begin to see some light bulbs come on and say, yeah, you know, there are some consistencies to how I grow and consistencies to how other people grow, which is important when you're talking about growth, because then you know if there's a consistent process, then you can replicate that. All right, and you notice it's all built around that center piece there, and that's the trusted relationship. And that's really the point that we're going to talk a lot more about today, is that trusted relationship. And Jeff's going to talk a little bit later about how this all fits into that trusted relationship. And let's just talk about principles of personal growth then. All right, and you can look down in your book. And these are just some principles that we believe are true about how people develop. And the first thing that we want to talk about is that people develop best while they're in the game. All right, people develop best while they're actually, how many of you have ever been like, you know, you've heard the expression, you know, I just got dumped into the deep end of the pool and it was sink or swim, right? Well, you know, that's not all bad, because a lot of times when you're in a situation where you're actually performing, actually having to do it, winning and losing becomes really real. Your limitations become more evident to you. The places where you have to grow become more obvious when you're actually in the game. And so we think that for personal development to really move forward, we think it has to be in a real situation where you're in the game actually doing it. The next thing that we think is that personal growth is born out of self-awareness. All right? In fact, I would say that personal growth is impossible without self-awareness. And so from that point, which we become aware, then we're able to grow. Think about the light bulb moment. The light bulb moment is the moment of self-awareness that you became aware of an issue or something that you needed to grow through. And so without that, people just continue to go through life and never change. So we believe that self-awareness is really a critical part of that. And then the next thing is it's difficult for growth to occur without trusted relationships. And when you look at that diagram, the center of that diagram is the trusted relationship. And that's really critical and important to grow. So think about your own growth story and how that trusted relationship really helps you grow through that. And then we think that people grow best when people own their own growth. Own their own growth. And that's just important. And that's just a key that I don't care as a coach, I don't care how much I want you to change. I don't care how much I would like for you to change. Until you own that, until it becomes your growth, it's just not going to happen. So we think that that's really important. And as a coach, it's important to recognize, are people owning their own growth, and help people own their growth and not kind of step in there. So Jeff, why don't you take us on and talk more about the light bulb moment?
Okay, so let's take those ideas and the process of personal growth that you probably, even as you're thinking about your own story that you just shared, you can see those principles actually the way in the story that you shared and how you have grown personally. So let's try to connect that process with the whole idea of a coaching approach. And here's really what it comes down to. It's really all about the light bulb moment. It's at that moment that ownership really takes place. And that's what coaching is. So let's just read the definition of coaching that you have there in your book. Coaching is the process of guiding another person, primarily using questions, and that's important. So circle the word questions, because it's through questions that you're able to draw out that light bulb moment. So it's the process of guiding another person, primarily using questions to own their growth by gaining more self-awareness, by making better decisions, and by deciding what steps they will take. And a coaching approach enables you to recognize when people are at that light bulb moment, when you're in a conversation with them, or take them to that light bulb moment by asking them great questions, and then help them to choose the next steps that they're going to take as a result of their own insight. That's what we're talking about when we say a coaching approach. That's what it means. So a coaching approach enables you to recognize when people are at that light bulb moment, where they're ready to own their growth, or it enables you to get them to that point. And then from there, it enables you to help them choose their next steps that they're going to take to activate and to live out their insight. So another way you can look at it is a coaching approach, or the ability to ask questions and draw the best out of people. That approach allows you to play the role of that trusted relationship that's in the middle of the circle. And when you play the role of the trusted relationship, that's where you're best positioned to draw the best out of people and help them develop to be who God made them to be, because you're leading them to a point where they own their own growth. So that's really what coaching is. So now, here's the important question. Why does it matter so much? What really happens for a person when they do get to that point where they own their own growth? So just unpack that a little more, Jerry.
All right, so as a coach, it's really important to draw ideas and stuff out of people. And the reason we do it is because we want them to own it. We're going to illustrate that with a little math equation. And as a coach, you're going to be tempted to share ideas all the time. And this is a great reason why you might want to wait and draw ideas out of people so that they're more bought into them. So the simple math equation that we're going to talk about is Q times C equals results. Q is quality of the idea, all right? C is commitment to the idea. And so let's say that I am coaching Chris, and he's got an issue, and I have a clear solution to that issue. And so I think I've got an idea on a scale of 1 to 10 that I would say is a 9 idea. It's a really good idea. So as a coach, I could just pitch that to Chris. But the challenge really becomes is how committed to the idea is he? So I've pitched him a 9 idea, but it's my idea, it's not his. He's not really bought into it. He's committed to the idea at a level of 2 out of 10. So the simple math is 9 times 2, the result's 18 result units. I don't even know what that is, right? But just for the illustration, 9 times 2 is 18. All right, so let's say that as a coach, I'm not going to give my 9 idea. What I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the idea out of Chris, and I draw an idea out of him that I think on a scale of 1 to 10 is a 6. It's not as good an idea, but it's his idea, and he's much more committed to it. He's committed to it at a 9 level, all right? 9 times 6 results 54. So we're not talking 10 out of 10. We're just talking some middle-of-the-road numbers, but commitment makes the difference. And so as a coach, it's really important as we begin to draw these ideas out of people. It doesn't have to be the best idea. But if people are committed to the idea, you have a much better shot of getting a better result at the end of the day. And that's the power of coaching.